Excellent, thanks, Paul. Okay, right, so yes, using add-ons to create amazing responsive web content with Squirrel. That's what we're looking at. It actually follows on quite nicely from the talks that we've just had and the session we've just had from Ziv. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so I've got a shout out to Isaac on here. He prepared most of the content for this session, but it's actually his birthday. So he took the day off. We couldn't begrudge him that. And I get the pleasure of kind of taking you guys through this and presenting it to you instead. I think probably most of you know me. If you don't, I'm the co-founder and chief experience officer here at Squirrel 365. So what does that mean? I spend large parts of my day dreaming up ways to make Squirrel better or more usable or just more enjoyable for people, and just basically kind of collating all the feedback that we get, thinking about what kind of enhancements should be coming in the product next. And then, yeah, really in this talk, we're going to be looking at add-ons, really an introduction to what they are. That bit will be quite brief. But essentially, yeah, how they greatly increase the capacity for you to customize your Squirrel projects and do a lot more than was previously possible. Additionally, we're going to really focus on the window size and animator add-ons. They're two of the probably more dynamic add-ons that we've got in the marketplace. We'll look at those in some detail and explore what it's possible to do with them and how you use them. Right. So why did we make the marketplace? So for anyone that doesn't know about it, know that it exists, we released the latest version of our add-on framework over a year ago now. I think it was in June of last year. And along with that came the marketplace, which was basically just a way to be able to distribute the add-ons that were being created. So now there's a kind of a nice one-stop shop to go to where you can see and search for all of the add-ons that have been created. And just as an aside, really, the framework that we have for creating add-ons, it's not exclusively for use by the Squirrel team. So it is kind of like an open developer program. So if you have some functionality or a component that you would like in Squirrel that we don't have natively, if you have the skill set or the resources in-house, then people can develop their own add-ons, components, functions for Squirrel and extend Squirrel that way. For us, really, it was about kind of a mechanism for responding to some of the requests that we're seeing for new components and functions, kind of just more rapidly being able to be more responsive, not always waiting for a release cycle. And it also serves well for the kind of niche components and functions, things that are kind of maybe edge cases or sit right at the edge of Squirrel's core functionality. So as I said, we've got a wide range of native components and functions, including basic shapes, charts, UI controls, and then functions for advanced logic and data manipulation. They go through standard development lifecycle, which can take a while and is tied to releases of the designer. And we're getting new requests coming in all the time. And actually providing a marketplace means we can make the product more extensible. And one of the things I'm keen to point out is that if you have an idea for a new function or component you'd like to see, then there's a space on the Squirrel community, and you can go there and suggest them. And over time, we're hoping that it won't just be the Squirrel team picking those off and developing those for you, that actually the community as a whole will be able to start, certainly the people with development knowledge in kind of software engineering and programming would be able to create those as well. So why use add-ons? Really, it kind of gives you more creative options. A good example of that is we have the gradient, I think it might be called gradient background in the marketplace, and we don't have gradients on our basic shapes at the moment, and the rectangles, something we want to add, but actually it's very quick and easy to put a gradient background add-on together, which then means you can get kind of more stylized projects created and give them a different look and feel. So yeah, personalizing the experience for your end user, making it something unique to them and customizing it for them and their needs. And also kind of just bringing more functionality in, going beyond the default set of components. So one of the first one we're going to look at then is the window size add-on. Actually, before I do that, let's have a quick bring up the marketplace just very quickly. And just in case anybody doesn't know, this is where it lives. So it's on marketplace.squirrel365.io. And here are the add-ons that we currently have. As I say, we are adding to this kind of library or catalogue over time, so do keep an eye on it. But yeah, window size is the one we're going to look at now. And just to make you aware of how you get them, if you click on one of the add-ons, it takes you to kind of a page, a little bit of information about that add-on. But there is this option here to, don't think I've liked that one yet. I like that, to get the add-on. So if you didn't have that already, you'll see the option of get the add-on at this stage. It knows that me, along with 33 other people, have got that one. Right, so window size add-on. So basically what this does is it can provide information about the dimensions, so the height and the widths of the browser that your published Squirrel project is being viewed in, and then that can be put into your spreadsheet so that you can do something with it. So we know the spreadsheet is the brains, the sort of logic layer of Squirrel, and if we can get information about the browser for the end user is using, we can then put that into the Squirrel project and work with that at what we kind of call runtime. So what we do is we've got two properties, just the two properties on this add-on. It's a very simple add-on, and we'll bind the width and the height to cells in the spreadsheet in much the same way as we do with any of our other native or add-on components. And then as those change, you'd see that update or change in the project also. So a simple test after you've bound them would perhaps be to just add some text labels to your project, and then when you publish it and play around with resizing your browser window, you'll see that is being updated. And we have got an example here. So if we keep an eye on the current size, so 1440 by 610, it's my browser window, and as I change this, you can see it in action. Don't know how clear that is for you, but we'll go through and just quickly show an example of that as well. Right. So let's have a very quick look in Squirrel, actually. We're going to do that. So here we've got the Squirrel Designer. And I've got a project open here, one that I've started, Windows Size Basics, and what I've got is just 4 text labels on here at the moment. And these are bound very simply to my width and height labels here. I've got 2 more, which are currently empty, but they are bound. If I hover, you get the little tooltip, click on that, and it will show you that that one is bound there. And I've got nothing going in those cells at the moment. Obviously, if I was to type in there, see it appear. But what I'm going to do is go and find myself. So because I've got the add-on that is the window size one, it's a function. So I'll actually find that in my list of functions. There's a sort of subcategory here of add-ons. If I scroll down to the bottom, there's our window size one. So I'll add that. You click the plus icon after selecting for any function to add it. And then what I'm going to do is say that I want the, this is width, isn't it? So width to go in here. Yep, confirm that. And I want the height wait, well, the wrong way around. Height to go in there, sorry, and width to go in there. Let's just clear that out. And as I say, so you'll see nothing at debug time here. There's nothing to put into there. In fact, even preview, I don't believe, yeah, under electron doesn't work either. But if I were to now go and publish that project up to the cloud, test, window, size, and I will publish that one. And then if I go and have a look at this now, so it's grabbed my browser dimensions, 1427 by 609, and we can see that is updating. So we know that that information is being put into the spreadsheet at runtime based on the end user. So every person viewing this project, their browser dimensions are then made available to you in the spreadsheet to do some calculations or some extra work on. So, and then before we explore a little further how that's just numbers at the moment, how that can be useful, actually Ziv's project is like one of the best examples of it, but we have to think about, so what do we want to happen when a user resizes their browser window or they go to visit on a one of your projects on a mobile device? And what is that different experience you want them to get? And there are two main kind of designs that people talk about when you're talking about responsive. There is responsive, where the design changes the layout, so the elements within that will change. Their appearance, their size perhaps might change based on the size, the device or the browser window. And then there's adaptive, where you actually create multiple different layouts, and then you have breakpoints. So responsive is fluid and adapts to the size of the screen, no matter what the target device, and it generally works off a single layout and changes height, width, position of elements based on that device or that size. Adaptive is different. Adaptive uses static layouts and breakpoints. So when you go below a certain size, it will display you a different layout, an alternative layout. And it's probably easier for us to kind of look at an example to see what you might do, go for one over another. So here, Isaac's doing his wizzy little animations. So I think what we're seeing here effectively is potentially a mixture, a sort of hybrid of responsive and adaptive actually. Start off with this layout, and then as it shrinks down, it changes to that layout. And we saw there's an element at the bottom that is resizing as you do it, which is why I say that one's kind of a hybrid. Squirrel's got some information within it to help you decide on the breakpoints or the canvas sizes. So have a look at those. You'll see those on the start page. And yeah, they've got typical sizes for different devices that you could look at. And then we'll often start from the point of view of thinking about it, possibly even in a design tool, maybe go straight into Squirrel, maybe in a design tool, and the kind of example I'm talking about here of an adaptive layout, possibly even a hybrid one, depending on how this would manifest itself, is you've got for desktop here, and then that all just shrinks down a little bit. So that's responsive. Everything starts to get a little bit smaller. Well, what might be this tablet layout just here, and then over on the far right, you have the mobile layout. But actually, we've moved some things around now. So we've repositioned things, and another good sort of example of this is maybe tabular data, where you've got something that's quite data dense or heavy that works on a large screen, and actually just shrinking the table down to make it fit on a mobile renders the table pretty useless, because the fonts get really small, the columns get really small, stuff starts to get truncated. So that's another example where you possibly wouldn't go for a fully responsive layout, and in fact you'd want to actually adapt or change that layout to display that information perhaps not in a table instead, as that wouldn't lend itself to mobile. So you need to give some consideration to those, and as we said, we're grabbing the dimensions, putting those into the spreadsheet, and that's when the hard work starts, really. Everything you do then is all based off calculations within your spreadsheet. We're going to take a look at a very simple example because it can get very complicated. So let's have a look here. So this was a really simple example, which was just displaying text labels. If we have a look now at not say that. Let's have a look at an adaptive approach to this. So what I have in my project here, if I go back to my Canvas objects, is I've created 3 containers. One suitable for mobile, which is the one you're seeing here, and that one for tablet, which is this one here, and then our desktop one, which is even bigger here. And as I was describing, so perhaps just shrinking these boxes down, which you could do with some clever spreadsheet logic, maybe doesn't work so well when you get down onto a mobile device, and actually changing the layout to have them vertically stacked would make more sense. So what we've got, so we're taking an adaptive approach here. We're not going to try resizing anything as we go. We're just going to swap out the different views based on the size of the browser or the device that's viewing it. So I have an area in my spreadsheet that I prepared to receive the height and width. Actually, for this example, I only really care about the width. And then I've defined these breakpoints. So I'm saying anything below 500 wide should be considered a mobile device and get the mobile view. Anything between 500 and 1024, which is kind of landscape tablet, would get the tablet view, and anything above that actually is going to get the desktop view. So on each of my containers, I have set their widths to be their respective breakpoints, and I have set the dynamic visibility for those to the result of this formula here, which is just a little bit of logic that says if C8, which is the destination for our function, our window size add-on, so if that is in this case greater than or equal to that, then make it 1, else make it 0, and then I've got logic running along here. Bear with me while my project catches up. Which will do the same thing. So basically, dynamic visibility, very simple, 0 or 1, and then we map that to the dynamic visibility on the component. And if we have a look at this in action, let's just publish this one. Publish that up there. And have a look at that. And so what we can see, oh, and I've also output the size of the window size width add-on. That's pulling through in that text label there as well. So we can see we're in desktop mode, and then actually as we get down, as that number on the top left gets to 1024, we'll see it switch to the tablet version. You see another jump here, and that's because the viewer that we use actually has its own breakpoints in it to say, well, this is getting quite small now. So you'll see the viewer functionality move to the bottom. But yeah, so we get the smaller version, and then as we go all the way down to 500, we get the mobile version. So that is all based on receiving the parameters from the browser at runtime, and then us dynamically hiding or showing the canvas with different layouts, which is our adaptive approach. So the other add-on we were going to look at is the Size and Position Animator add-on. So that is all about kind of bringing dynamic interaction, I suppose, like interaction design motion to your project, changing the size and position of components on the canvas at runtime. And just as it says on the tin, as it's written there, so it allows you to animate existing components to a new position or size. And the values, again, all pushed into the spreadsheet as this add-on runs, so that you can do things with it. So if we click here, so that's the sort of thing we can achieve. We can take some that image that was smaller, and it can both grow and move at the same time. It is made up of 4 main sections. So we have the property that you want to animate, and because we are talking about just size and position here, so position is made up of your X and Y coordinates, size, your width and height. So you would set those to be the cells in the spreadsheet that you want to change when this runs. And then additionally, you have options to choose whether you're moving something by a certain amount or to a certain place. And we have some easing settings as well down there. So you can set the type of easing and the duration, so how long it takes to animate between these values. And then we need a way to tell this add-on when to start doing the animation or the injection of the values for the animation, and also optionally we can stop it partway through if we wish. And then we can also put some status information about what it's doing as well. So which values do we want to change? And then this becomes key because you're manipulating potentially your X, Y, width, height properties, which means the thing that you want to animate needs to be bound to those same cells so that they can change. So yeah, exactly as we saw with the window size add-on, you're selecting which cells are going to be affected, and then those will be modified. Move to scale to, we looked at briefly. A little tip around best practice for colouring things, because this stuff can get quite complicated quite quickly, quite easy to lose track of what you've set. And what we're basically doing is saying we want to modify the values that we set in the properties to animate by this amount or move or to this value. So it's all about working out where you want it to go or how big you want it to grow or shrink by, the values that you want that to happen for. And then the settings, I said, duration in here and easing type. It gives you some customization over the style of animation or the way in which those values are modified, and then also the trigger cell. So the trigger cell, that's just looking for any change in value on there. So anytime it sees that cell change, the value on that cell change, it will trigger the delay, optionally trigger the animation, optionally with a delay. And then you can also choose to reset that trigger cell when it's happened. And as I say, you can stop it also. So I think it's much easier. There's a lot of property panel stuff there. It's going to be easier for us to actually go through and have a look at it in a second. But just to give you an idea of the sort of things you can achieve. So this is simply moving a rectangle. So we're animating the position, in this case, just the X value to move it from left to right. What else have we got? This kind of like using another add-on, one of our Lottie animation add-ons, with the size and position animator to get the effect of the perhaps moonwalking in that scenario. And then, but perhaps a more practical example, something you're more likely to want to do in your project, something like a slide out menu. What else have we got here? Oh, Josh will recognize this one. This is another good example. I think we can probably just go straight with see results to get that. So just getting that kind of nice user experience, that sort of motion design built into it, actually just adds something to the experience. And so that will, again, is using the size and position animator to do that, which is very cool. Right, so now we know about the properties that exist. Let's have a quick look at how we put those into practice. So if we have a look here, we've seen this on the community already. So here's a project that I started, which basically I was challenged myself to come up with a few different kind of different UI card styles. Things that you couldn't natively do in Squirrel, and actually it became quite quite interesting, quite easy to do it with the size and position animator. So if we have a look, we're just going to preview actually, you'll get the sense of it. So this one, we're animating the gradient background to kind of grow from the bottom there as you hover over it. And these are all just about providing some affordance so that people know they can interact with this thing. This one combines two rectangles to meet in the middle, change the text as well. And then this one, it just grows from the top right there, that circle grows. So all things that you wouldn't be able to do in school without the help of this add-on. So if we take a quick look at probably the circle grow will be the easiest one to look at. And then just very simply, it's made up of a rectangle for the card background, some text elements, the circle, which is the one that the size and position animator is going to act upon. And we've got an icon at the top. And then importantly, we've got a hotspot sitting over the top of it, which is going to capture my mouse movement. So quick look at this. I'm going to search for it. Yes, we are. So as I say, what's important is our position and size properties for this circle are bound to the spreadsheet. So here we are saying, okay, this is X position, this is Y position, they're all bound. This is its height and width. Just here. So and then I've got my starting values and my finishing values. This is where the size and position animator will start to make sense. So this one here, so I'm saying I want to animate this X position and animate this Y position, and then my size will be bound as well. So I'm telling it to act upon these cells here effectively. And then I have to tell it what they need to change to, and then set up my animation properties for how they should change. So under position, I'm telling it to move to, and then it's this one over here. So these were my starting values, these are my ending values. So it's going to go from 222 to -36, -31 to -67, and so on. And so that's essentially all we're doing, is giving it starting values, and these end values are what we want to happen when this animation is triggered. And then the trigger for me on this one is going to be, should be where we're hovering over it. Yep. So when the mouse, the hotspot will put something into there, which will tell it to start the animation, which will then move or essentially animate the component by increasing the values to these new values, or decreasing, whichever it was, over the time that we have set for the duration of that animation, which we'll see here. So if I go into debug and do this time, you'll see all those numbers changing. So you'll see very quickly a 1 appear to say start the animation, and then the numbers will change. And then when I mouse out, you'll very quickly see I've got another animation add-on to do the mouse out, which then reverses, and it will basically essentially get these back to these values back to the starting set. And that is it. So as I say, kind of it's a bit involved, but you're essentially thinking of what cell do I want to act on, what value do I want it to become, and what's going to start that trigger the transition to the new value, and how long do I want it to take. That's basically what you need to consider. And then bringing it all together. So we can see this one essentially is a nice use of the window size add-on. So we'll see here, so we've transitioned to a kind of a mobile view, things like the filters move up into their own filter bar. But what you'll actually see happening here as well with my example, if I've still got it open, to see how I can scroll left and right. I'm doing nothing to responsibly resize things. I'm just adjusting to a breakpoint and changing the view. Matt built this one, and he does a really nice job of resizing things. So basically taking the values that come from the window size add-on and then doing some sort of fairly complex math on it to work out what the new size of these objects should be. Yeah, so there's that one. And then the ultimate, which we have had a little bit of a glimpse of already, thanks to Ziv. It's one of Ziv's examples, and I only flash it up again just to show how this one does a brilliant job both of the mobile, so changing the view, so a good example of where things would actually just kind of need to change because of the reduced screen real estate available to you, but also, and this doesn't always come across so well on over a screen share for Zoom, but also the hiding the inputs here. I don't know if you can capture that from the screen share, but it's actually animated to slide that way. So it's not just kind of that one goes and the other one is instantly bigger. It's actually a nice kind of eased effect. And that is me. That is me done. Yeah, I don't know if anybody had any questions or if anything, Johnny, if anything came in.
Yeah, that was excellent, Mel. Thank you so much. And great stuff there. Really cool. Although, you know, Josh and Rich are beating up on me saying that that guy wasn't moonwalking when you made it go backwards.
Sorry,
it looked like moonwalking to me. Maybe it's just because that's the way I moonwalk. And that,
possibly. Me too.
But yeah, that's really good. Someone's asking if we're going to provide a list of all the add-ons you used. That will be, I mean, the presentations will be available next week along with the video recordings of this. So yes, you'll be able to get to those. And Rich Harvey already dropped the link to the marketplace, to the Squirrel marketplace in the chat window there, so you can find the add-ons, the marketplace add-ons there as well. Right, Mel?
Yeah, they're correct. And also, Paul, there's actually on the community, and I'll add the link in the chat too. There's the Squirrel file, so the source file for the card animation example that I just showed, that's available. So sometimes it's easier to kind of get into a file, poke around and try and reverse engineer it than try and make sense of and follow what somebody's showing you. So yeah, we'll make those available too.
Okay. And one small request is, can you make the guy moonwalk? So
right. So this time next year, or the next Squirrel experience, I will have a proper moonwalking character for you.
Okay. All right. I don't see any other questions at this time, but thank you again so much. That was excellent. So over to you, Johnny.